Last video was our first time playing on the London map. We explored the city, built a few thematic lines, and got a feel for how London works in the game. And judging by your response, a lot of you want this to become a full series. But in order to make this a good series, we're going to need to rebuild what we did. I received a lot of valid criticism, and I want to make the series fun and also realistic. Our system is basic, fragmented, and struggling with capacity issues. It was an experiment that kind of failed. In this video, we'll rebuild parts of our original London system with a better long-term plan focused on capacity and strong corridors. We built our full system with light metro and it simply couldn't handle the volumes we were seeing. So first we'll go over principles for our future lines by reviewing maps and ridership numbers from the existing London Underground. Then we'll convert some of the lines to heavy metro to allow for more capacity. Lastly, we'll build our east-west trunk. If you agree or disagree with these changes, let me know in the comments. I want all of my series to be community facing, allowing full input from you. Now let's build our version of the tube. Quickly, I wanted to go over some core principles going forward for our build. First, I want to favor capacity over coverage at the start, which means establishing transfer stations and the downtown network. Second, I want to run parallel routing through the core of the city, much like an S-Bahn system using quad rails. To go along with that, I want to build quad stations, which are sized for growth, not our current demand from passengers or lines. Quickly, let's take a peek at London's current network. This map on screen shows all the current London Underground, Overground, and other rail lines. It's interactive, so if I click on a line, you can see it highlighted there. This has been very helpful in planning this episode, and I will continue referring back to this in the series. Next, this shows the estimated figures for all the underground lines. The northern and the central lines are by far the most used, so for today I want to establish our system with more streamlined versions of the in real life lines. Now getting back to what we built previously, our north-south from the last video won't change much and will be a combination of the overground lines of Weaver and Windrush, and of course the northern line. This will be renamed to the Toot and Toot line after Tottenham and Tooting Bec, my target ending stations. A viewer suggested giving some lines a portmanteau after the ending stations, kind of like the Bakerloo line. Our landmark line will be on hiatus for now and be built in the future. Interestingly, it follows a similar line as the Jubilee line. And finally, my plan for the Premier line is to become a full loop, but for now we are just going to be rebuilding it with major upgrades. So here's our system from the last episode. Like I said, this is all light metro. We are struggling with a lot of capacity issues, so we are going to have to rebuild this. And there's no current way to upgrade from light metro to heavy metro, so we're actually going to rebuild the whole network, and we're not going to see the coverage that we have been getting previously because heavy metro costs a little bit more than light metro, but we'll try to get pretty close. So I restarted the save and actually built out very similar lines to what we had before, with a couple of changes. And let's just go through each station. So I've added this elephant and castle. I moved down our station that was up here. Down there, this is the in real life name. I've tried to use the real life name for some of these stations in the approximate location. This is London Bridge. This is this big train station you see right here. That was a station we had last episode. This one is new. This was going to be our central station. And you can see it's a quad station because I have planned for lines to coming in and out of this one. And as well as you'll see later on in this episode, we're going to have an east to west transfer right here as well. Next is Liverpool Street Station. This is also an in real life kind of transfer station that I wanted to fit in right here. It fits quite well. So we can see lines maybe heading, east west from this station or, somewhere north up here. Oops, sorry about that. This one I don't have a name for, but if you have a name, let me know. And then we have the Dalston Kingsland Station, a transfer station right here. The line in real life doesn't follow this road, but we're going to keep going up to Tottenham. We're not going to be able to hit it today, I don't think. We'll see how much money we have at the end of the episode. But that is the goal ending station for this Toot and Toot line. And actually, while I'm on this line, my Tooting Bec is the name of the target kind of area. And I think it's right here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, right here. So somewhere in this area will be our ending line for this northern line, as you see. Now, heading over to our Premier line, we actually don't have enough money to extend to London Stadium over here, where West Ham plays. But that's all right. We have Homerton, which is this little neighborhood right here. And then, like I said, our transfers station right here. We have Emirates, where Arsenal plays. And I simplified some of the lines. I try to save as much money as I could. You can see we used up it all, and we didn't even have our landmark line, and we're not extending as far as we were before. But that's all right, because this will set us up a lot better. We have King's Cross. This is, if you watch Harry Potter, you might recognize this. This is where
Platform 9 3/4.
which is kind of a fun nod. So I have it as a quad station for now. I don't know where the other lines would go, but we'll see in the future. As well as, I can't remember, but there is also a train station right here. I know there's about 6 different in real life subway lines that kind of converge just in this area, as well as 10 different train lines. So there's 2 major train stations right here. We're going to operate this obviously as a subway, as the underground, but we could always look to adding some national lines in, going outside the map. Next is Euston. This is also a major train station. If we did, we'd probably put it right here, sending further north, but for now we just have a quad station. And I don't know, like maybe in the future I might upgrade all of this to quad. I think that's the plan, all this line between the stations, depending on what our lines need. But at least our stations are ready for whatever we're gonna change in the future. Next is Baker Street, a very popular stop. So I have that there in the right location. And then we have Paddington, another big train station. So instead of following this road, I actually have it swoop in. And then the same thing with a quad. Either we run quad rails along this path, or we send it somewhere else in the city. And then next is, I think this is Notting Hill. I don't know if this is the right name for it. Let me know if you have a better name. And then Shepherd's Bush. This will be the ending station for a line you'll see later on in this episode. And I spelled that wrong. Let me fix that. Bush with 1H. Perfect. Next is Kensington Olympia. And then, yeah, we made it to Stamford Bridge with this line. So that's a full recap. I know we have less coverage than we did the first episode. That's all right. I want to show you guys, we're running, I want to get this frequency very high. You guys pointed that out. Someone said you have 1 minute frequencies on the Victoria line or something, or the Elizabeth, one of them. So we will be working on getting this frequency down. For this game and how it's currently optimized, it makes more sense to have more capacity than worrying about frequency. Obviously you want a lot of frequency, but as I found in my Boston save, the game does slow down quite a bit, as well as with me running it on a laptop with OBS, can get quite complicated. So for now, I think this system will work a lot better for our future plans. So yeah, trains, we have 5 for high demand, 3 for medium, and 2 for low. We'll upgrade all this in this episode. And then same with our toot and toot, we have 2 for high demand, 2 medium, and 1 for low. And we're gonna have to increase that once we start expanding this system. So quickly before we build our next line, I wanted just to see how this system operates. I'm on day 1, haven't even pressed anything down here. So let's start the clock and we'll run 4 times and we'll see kind of how the system operates. I haven't tested this at all. We have way less coverage, so I think it is going to be a bit harder to make money, and that's all right at the start. We are set up very well in the future. And while the game's running, in my Boston series, I kind of had a storyline along with, I would add money into the game. We had a storyline that it was rewarding us for hitting ridership goals. So if you are interested in that, let me know. I try to keep it very realistic, so I wasn't building crazy systems. Oh, and we're already getting warnings. That's great to see. So yeah, if you want it, let me know how you want to see the series. You want it more sandbox, more realistic? I know probably within an episode or 2, we could fully rely on the system. It'd really just be that first jump. I can show you guys, if you're new to the game, you can actually issue bonds that you'll have to pay interest on after you get it. The only one really worth it are these 2, in my opinion. So $100 million a day in revenue to hit this $500 million bond, and then $200 million in revenue to get this $1 billion bond. I think we might be taking this today. We'll see. For our fare, I think we're gonna up this just to $350. I actually don't know what the London Underground charges. So if you have any experience in that, let me know. And let's see actually how much are we making already. Okay, we're making a good amount. That's great to see. We're already halfway done with our day and we've made about 50 million. So I'm gonna let this run just for like 2 days, see the effects, and then we'll start building our next line. Okay, I've simulated to day 3. You guys can see we've made around $100 million, but I've actually had to spend around 100 million just upgrading our lines for our, let me pull this up real quick. Toot line, we are at now 5-minute frequency, and that seemed to be helping a little bit during the high demand. In our premier line, we are also at 5-minute frequency with 9 trains running, and all of them were still getting full. So that's great to see. And if I go into our financial dashboard, yeah, we're at 350 for the fare. And if I go to the last 14 days, we're making around 125 million in revenue, which is great to see. And what is that? Total expenses 38 million. So like a little less than 90 million. So next, I wanted to focus on our central line. This is obviously going to take from the central line from the London Underground, but it also takes some of the Elizabeth line, especially when we get to Canary Wharf, which is this area over here, more of like a modern office kind of space area. So I want this, I'm gonna call it our central trunk. And that's because in the future we'll have multiple lines running under this. For now it will just be our central line. So it's all gonna be quad in the future. Today I think we'll just have quad stations throughout, and then using the parallel tracks just to connect them up. We're gonna hit multiple notable landmarks, which you'll see later on in the episode that I actually missed from our first episode. I think this will be our highest demand, and it will also be where our future airport line, however we route that over there, it will eventually go through this corridor. A very long line. It's gonna start in this area right here where all these office buildings are. This is Canary Wharf over here. It's gonna start here, and it's gonna run through this path. You can see the right of way between all these buildings. Probably have a station right here. I believe there's a big workforce. Let me pull that up. Yes, there's a hospital, I think, right here. So we're gonna put it right on this dot. I don't have a name for this station, let me know. And then this I missed. It's probably the biggest landmark in London. This is the Tower of London. So we're gonna have a station there. I missed that in our landmark line, which was pretty funny. And then it's gonna intersect with our central station at a perpendicular angle, and we'll have a big quad station here, and this will be a massive transfer station. And then because there's a big transfer station right here, it's called Bank, right in this kind of area. So we just kind of shifted it over, which is so it lines up better with our routes. And then I also missed this, which is quite funny because I took a class and this building was a major part of it. This is St. Paul's Cathedral, a 17th century cathedral designed by Christopher Wren. I know I had multiple classes talking about this building in particular and Wren, so it's pretty funny that I completely forgot about it. We'll have a station here connecting that up. And then I think there's a couple stations on the central line in this kind of area. I don't know, I don't think I'll follow those exactly. I'll just go off the in-game demand stats. We'll see when we get there. But the next station I wanted to copy was Marble Arch. Can we see it in? Yeah, we can see the little block, but that's really an archway. So we'll have a station there. And then going down, we'll have a station at Queensway, which is this street right here by Kensington Palace. Is that what it's called? Yes, Kensington Palace right here. So we'll have a station pretty close. Then we'll end at Shepherd's Bush. I'm gonna let the game run while we're building this at a 3x speed. I think it shouldn't cause too many issues in the background. So we're gonna have to build this in pieces because we're not making too much money yet. And I think this total cost is gonna be about $1 to $1.5 billion. So we're gonna focus on this area first, connecting Canary Wharf up to the City of London's downtown. So first, I'm just gonna build all the stations, and then we'll see how much that costs, and we'll see. We could take this loan. I think maybe that's the right idea. Take the loan, build the section, and then we'll have enough money later on to complete it. So we're gonna have this, and I think this is gonna have to be. This one's already at -11. Oh no, this is at 17, if I remember correctly, because I had to make this station at -17 as well. just so it fit well in, because I think there's a building right here. Also, if you're new to the game, I can pull up this mode real quick. Oh, and one other thing, if you like, I can change any of the colors around. If you're also new to the game, you can customize any of the colors. You can have light mode or dark mode. I'll put a disclaimer before I do that. So let me know what looks better for you guys. Yeah, so you can see the foundation difference is basically, I think it's based off the height of the building. This station, as I said, is at -17. So we're gonna put this station at just 11. I think we won't have any issues, except for there is one building I have to watch out for. Okay, we're just gonna miss it. So we're gonna have a quad station right here. And my plan is to follow this route. We'll have a station very close to the Tower of London, and that's all right. I think, because let's see what we can fit in here. We're already at insufficient funds. This is gonna be very costly. I think we'll get away with a -9 station right here, and we can just drop it down right away to -11, and we should be able to connect up. Yeah, we can do that. Some buildings are very lenient with the elevation, which is nice, and we'll connect that up. And one tip for you guys is, if you plan to maybe have a flyover, try to extend as far as you can straight. That way any flyovers in the future you don't have any issues with. So we're gonna do that. And that will be our maybe Tower Hill, I think is one name. It is maybe a street over, but it's not too far of a walk to be called that station name. And then the next station, let me pull up our demand stats and workers. I think for now, this might be close enough. We'll see if we need to infill a station there. I think maybe we'll have a station kind of in this area. Makes sense to me. And then one ending at Canary Wharf. We're gonna run a quad station here. That way we can have flyovers and whatnot and hopefully not have any issues. But we'll put our quad right here, and we'll just run a parallel track out from it. And this is the actual station. I don't know if it is called Canary Wharf, the station itself. I know the other line, the Jubilee line, I think has a station somewhere down here. So yeah, we'll do the same thing where we extend it out straight. That way if we need to have any, well, this will probably all be quad rails in the future. And we will have to delete it and rebuild it, but it'll be much cheaper to do it now. And then once we have our money later on to change that. And we'll have to keep this at -11 until we can get to this right away over here. I think a station right here makes sense at this corner of Commercial and Butcher Row. That makes sense, or maybe a little further. Let's look at our demand stats and see where. Okay, I think right here makes sense. So we'll put a station right here. I don't have a name for it yet, so if you want to name the station, either leave a timestamp or just the general location, and I'll get to it. And then we'll connect those up in a time lapse, and with that. And our next station, where is it? We're at Cathedral. So one issue I'm gonna have is if I want to run quad rails through this whole section, it's probably gonna have to be at a -11 because these streets are too narrow in some places. You can see if I go to 5, cut and cover, it's gonna be kind of impossible to get through these buildings. So we're gonna have to build some of these stations at -11. And maybe we'll just connect up this part. Let's see, how much is this costing us? Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so we're actually going to delete this back and just focus on this Canary Wharf portion. So now I'm going to connect them up, and then we can look at the total cost. So that is going to be our Canary Wharf portion with, what is that, 2 stations in between. And then we'll have to add a crossover for now so we can start running trains. And just this portion is going to cost, why is that costing so much? Let's see. Standard tunnel. Okay. I think it's because we're using so much standard tunnel, and that's just one issue. When you start building in this game and you're building downtown, you have to build underneath all the large buildings. It does cost quite a bit. Maybe we could fudge this by pushing this over here, but I like the station locations. So let's see. Let's run the game for a couple of days. I'll make that money enough to take the loan, and then we can start running a train line back and forth. I've actually decided, let's just build this in sections. So we're gonna issue this $500 million bond, and I deleted the section to Canary Wharf for now. We'll add that in, and that way we can just build this central station and start building a line out here. So yeah, this is gonna be our central line, and I hope, did I add crossovers? I did at both ends. So this will be our central line, and we'll make it that nice red, nice circle. And then we can just have, it'll be very short line for now, and it's gonna be stopping on the inside tracks of that big central station. And yeah, this only has 3 stops. It's not gonna be used quite too much. We only will need like, yeah, 2 trains, and then we'll run 2 in 1. And that's just so we can start running some trains, and we'll let the game, oh, I don't know what that bug is. We'll let the game run, and I think so we can start putting more stations down. I went and made this a 10 car so I could run a little bit less trains at a time. So during this low period, it's only sending 1. Not 2, let's run 2. I think that makes sense. And yeah, these frequencies aren't great, but I think the capacity is handling it quite well. You can see we're making around 90 million a day. We're now 80 million with our increased expenses. So our revenue actually went down. I wonder if we can bump our fare price up. Let's bump this up to 425 and see what kind of impact it has on the system. Because this Canary extension is going to cost, I think, 500 million. We can put it back in. That these quad stations are just so expensive. Watch, if I build this, cost 225 million. So we're actually pretty close. Maybe we could get this in. Okay, this is going to be about 400 and something million. I think that will be a lot better. And let's look at our demand. I want to see, where are people coming from just one more time. Okay, I think some people getting on. Yeah, I think this will work out well. This will be a very popular station, I can see in the future. So it looks like we need around 420 million to build this out. That should take about 2 days to build. I'm wondering now if I should just focus on extensions or if I should focus on this core. I do want to focus on this core. Let's see how much it would cost to build out the rest of the system, or rest of this line, I should say. So we'd have a station here at Shepherd's Bush, and I think this can be at -9. Let's see. No, this is already at -9, so we can put this station at -5 to go above that. And then I wanted a station right here at Holland Park. And where was the next one? Queensway, which was right here, right there. And then one at this arch. That's kind of a big distance, but I think that's okay. Where was the next one? Oxford Circus, which was right here. What a funny name. I wonder if it's because there's like a little roundabout here. Not sure. There's no roundabout, but there's a cutout of a circle, interestingly enough. And then what? We would have, these would all kind of need to be quad stations, though, I'm thinking, in the future, if we're running multiple lines. And that would be very expensive. I mean, we're already at 800 million. I'm wondering if we should give ourselves just a little bit of money, and that way we can build out this central line, and then our system should be profitable enough to make us enough money over the next couple episodes. So I'm actually going to make an executive decision. I'm going to build this fully out with you guys, and then however much it costs, we're going to deposit into our bank, we'll say. We've already hit 50k riders. I think 60k when I had the fare lowered just a bit. Because I just know that this is going to cost a lot, but this is needed. And, if there was a way to upgrade our light metro, this would have been a lot cheaper than rebuilding everything. I think it works out well, but I would like to see kind of some progress in this episode. So we're going to build these lines, and we're going to build these all as quad stations, so it will be quite costly. We'll start it there, And I think that's what we had for St. Paul's. And we'll have all quad rails on this section of track. This section of track we can upgrade in the future once we get more lines. And then where did we want our next stop to be? I think this was, did I put it here? In between, yeah, right here we'll have another quad stop. And let's see if we can start using cut and cover. If the road is, I just don't think it's, yeah, we're gonna have to go to that -11 standard tunnel just because these roads seem to be so narrow. But these will be very useful for any express tracks we have, or express lines we have, in order to bypass some of these stations that aren't super necessary. So yeah, we'll upgrade all of these to quads. And I'm actually making a mistake on these last two. These should be at -5. Let me do that. Still save some money. So this one can also be at -5. And I think this road seems to be too narrow to fit it properly. For this, what is this? Oxford Circus. I keep forgetting. And then yeah, this one, yeah, this, maybe we'll skip this station for now and we'll see if we need to add it in later. And then Shepherd's Bush will also be a quad, and we'll connect up all of these, and then we'll see our total cost. We're at 1.4 billion. I think in total this is gonna be like a $2 billion project. Quite costly, but that's all right. Okay, that is our full central line built out. Looking quite good, and this is going to cost us $2.3 billion. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to add the funds necessary for us to build this line, and then we'll wrap up this episode 1, episode 1.5, episode 2, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I went in and added the money. We can repay this if we want in the coming episodes. To see how our system runs. This loan that we didn't take, or did we take? I can't remember. It seems to maybe be bugged because we did add money. As you see, we went from, we had negative balance for some reason. Interesting. Something was bugged in that. So yeah, we're gonna build this, and it's gonna cost us 2.35 billion. And we'll build this out, and now we can connect up our full central line, and then we can always repay this in the future. I just wanted to get this built and not have to simulate a bunch of days. So now we have this full line built. We're gonna try to get pretty high frequency. So let's buy some trains first of all. Let's just buy the max amount. And we're gonna get to, let's see, we can't get to a 5-minute frequency yet. We'll get to a 7-minute. And then for medium demand, we'll aim for around 10. Low demand, we can do around 19 minutes. And now let's go through and name some of the stations that I know of. Okay, we have all of our stations built up. Let's take a ride on one of these trains and see how it's going. Okay, not half bad. I like what we did. It's definitely gonna be operating a bit better. And let's look at our demand stats. Let's see how they're changing. I think let's decrease our fare. It's a little high, I think, for this map. Let's do 350. And what is our revenue? This was before we added the money. We were making almost 100 million in profit. So not bad, but you would have seen, like, if I was doing a playthrough, not on YouTube, I wouldn't have added the money. But I don't want to get too high of a day. Because in this game, each day is a year. I wanted to build out a big central line. And now we have, 3 big, strong corridors with obviously our central and our north-south, but also this premier is going to be very helpful, I believe, especially once we build the full loop, which I don't know how it's going to look for now. Let me pull up. I like now that in construction you can see the roads, because it kind of helps me frame where you can just build underneath the roads. So maybe something going down here, connecting to this Canary Wharf, maybe have this as a transfer station, and then bring that down around, maybe on this road. What is this road right here? Let me zoom in real quick. Streatham place. So maybe some kind of circular loop would be quite useful. I found it useful in the Boston series. Let's just keep letting the game run, and we can make adjustments if we need. Warning, central train. Okay, we are probably gonna have to run a 10 car on this, and let's make that switch right away. And let's see how many train cars do we need. Okay, that should be good for now. So yeah, these double train cars, we're getting now triple the capacity compared to running that 800 capacity light metro. We were just gonna have to run way too many trains. I think this works a lot better. I think realistically, it's easier to run all those little trains than these massive trains, and have that really high frequency. But this game, I think, just struggles once you get to about 100 to 200 trains. It's a lot on the system, especially on my system. My laptop is just not great at handling it. Let's see how this Canary Wharf's. Not too bad. I think this ridership's gonna continue to jump up, and throughout the day we can see 11,000 at this stop, which is quite good. Interestingly, more than Canary Wharf. I'm sure we'll see that jump up once we expand coverage. Seems like a big residence kind of area in this spot. They're all getting good amount. I think once we start expanding these lines we have built now, we'll see a lot of growth in the system. Transfers not looking too bad with these two transfer stations. And then overall, all of our stations are doing quite well. You can see we have station groups and then stations. You can go to stations and then go to a specific, and then see which station is which. So I think this one is our north-south, this top bubble, and then this east-west is this middle, or this lower bubble. And let's look at our ridership. It was acting funny in the first episode. I think what I realized is this is including transfers. So this is kind of the number to watch. I'm not sure though. I don't know how this adds up. I could do the math maybe eventually, because we're at 69,000 just on our premier line. Our central line, I think, is going to creep up over time, especially once we send it out. This is going to be our core line. That and our tune suit, I think, will be our two core lines. And then we'll have a bunch of other complementary lines in the future. So it looks like our revenue jumped up to 160, which is great. Our expenses also jumped up a ton, but that's all right. Let's look at our just demand stats along. We're starting to turn some blue along the path. That's great to see. I think my objective is kind of focusing on this central bubble and building off lines from that. So I think next episode we'll expand our yellow line down to Tooting to give it its full name, and probably up to Tottenham. And then from there, I'm not really sure where we'll go. Maybe we'll go over to the airport on our central line. This is London City Airport over here, as well as maybe start to bring down our premier line into this area, and maybe even have a transfer station at the other end of the Tooting line in Tooting Beck over here. So like I said before, I want to name each station by the real life station, a nearby landmark, or the neighborhood name. To do so in this series, I'll need your help. So if you have a station name you want change, give me the name and I'll change it by next episode. And thanks for tuning in. Sorry for the delay. Going forward, I'm going to try to get 2 to 3 uploads a week. Also, I'll be doing a live stream this Saturday afternoon if you are interested. I think we'll be continuing on the Liverpool map, which I was having some fun with. I hope I see you guys there. Have a great day, and bye-bye.